Welcome to the Touch MBA Admissions Podcast. Do you need help figuring out which schools to apply to or how to get into the world's top MBA programs? Hey, you're not alone. Join thousands of others on this podcast and on our site, touchmba.com, as they seek the admissions edge. And now, here's your host, Darren Joe.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Touch MBA podcast. And you all know that what I love to do here on the show is really take you behind the scenes so you can understand what these top ranked MBA programs are really like. But I also like to feature unique applicants, with a broad range of experiences entering the MBA program. And I think this episode combines both of those elements. My guest this week is Safira Djati, who is currently an MBA student at the NUS MBA. NUS is National University of Singapore, which is Singapore's top-ranked MBA program. National University of Singapore is one of the most well-regarded universities in the world as well. And Safira has a very interesting story to share, being from Indonesia, working in private equity, and then attending her MBA in Singapore for family and professional reasons and personal reasons. Safira is also a mother. And so in this episode, we talk about her MBA story. What was her journey to the MBA? What are her plans after the MBA? We also talk about her experience leading the NUS Student Council. She's the first female president ever, which was surprising to hear. It was really fun to kind of dive into her experience leading the NUS MBA Student Council and also what she's gotten from that and how that whole system works. And we talked for a little bit as well about, being a mom during the MBA and her approach to incorporating all parts of her life during this obviously very intense, busy period. So yeah, I think you'll really enjoy this episode to learn more about the NUS MBA, about the importance of student clubs, and about how one person from the finance industry is trying to break into a notoriously difficult and rather closed industry of private equity or venture capital in Singapore. And if you need help figuring out which school would be the best MBA investment for you, which school would fit you best and your career interests best, please go to touchmba.com. There you can get free school selection help from our experts, as well as application tips to make your profile stronger so you can get into your dream MBA program. That's all at touchmba.com. And now to my conversation with Safira Djati. Safira Djati, welcome to the Touch MBA podcast.
Hi, Darren. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast.
I'm really excited to talk to you, Safira, because I think you have such an interesting and unique profile, and I'm sure our audience will hear it throughout our conversation. But let's just start with, your story. What were you doing before your MBA, and when did that idea to even get an MBA come into your head?
Okay, so what I did before my MBA is actually I worked as investment analyst for a private equity company back in Jakarta, Indonesia. So I worked there for around 5 years, and then a unique moment came in. So I am a wife and I am a mother. So my husband was relocated here to Singapore. And at that time, I decided to come with my husband, along with my son, to Singapore around 3 years ago. I cannot really just stay at home. So there was some discussions, and I asked my husband to, I think I want to do an MBA. And so my husband has been really supportive. So he said, yeah, sure, you can just apply for an MBA program. And the reason I did an MBA, the reason I want to take an MBA is because I see that my family would settle here. So I want to look for a job here, especially still within the private equity industry. So I know that the industry is quite closed, it's a closed industry, right? So people would hire other people based on referrals and they rarely post job opportunity on the websites. I saw this MBA program as the bridge for me to enter the PE industry here in Singapore. At the same time, I want to explore other sectors here because I know that Singapore is currently famous with its growing VC industry, and then even with the impact investment, right? So that's why I decided to take an MBA and applied for the NUS program because firstly, I saw at that time before COVID, I know that they have a balanced on-campus and international program. So they have this Global Immersion program. It's a 2-week program where you can actually go to other countries and explore some companies in certain countries, get to know the professionals or the founders of some companies. And they have exchange programs. But I know because I have family, the Global Immersion program would work for me. And they have experiential learning modules as well. So aside of the academic classes, academic-related modules such as managerial economics, financial management, if you want an elective, you can find the private equity module, venture capital module, market analytics module. They also have this experiential learning modules. There are some modules in which they pushed us to come out of our comfort zone. So for example, they have this launch your transformation. It's a boot camp for a week in which you are pushed to, constantly speak in front of the other students, in front of other people in the room, including the facilitator. So NUS MBA actually invited amazing professionals on campus to teach us public speaking tips and tricks, how to negotiate, how to have tough discussions in the office. We were pushed to come up with ideas in a very short period of time. So it really pushed us to become, I think a leader with holistic view, right? Not only you need to be able to write or read something well, but you need to speak, right? You need to speak up. You need to be able to influence other people. So that's the purpose of that module. And then you also have the MBA survival kit. So for the ones who didn't have any consulting background, the MBA survival kit would equip the students with basic consulting framework and then some knowledge and skills on how to work with people who came from different cultures, different backgrounds. So those are the modules that I actually looked forward to at that time, because I know that I couldn't really, learn this from books, right? It really has come up with, my own experience in, communicating with my fellow batchmates who came from, 27 countries, with different dialects, different, characteristics. It's just so fun, yeah.
And you're about halfway through the program, as we discussed, right? Before the call, because NUS had that late start because of COVID. So you actually started in January and you expect to graduate in May next year. And so given all your reasons for applying to NUS, given your life situation and professionally, I'm just curious, how your experience has lined up with those expectations and kind of what you've really gotten from the program so far that has really surprised you.
So I know that with the COVID, I cannot explore the international programs, right? The short-term ones. But the good news is actually for my friends who applied for the exchange programs. Now some of them actually are in the US. So it's still ongoing for that part. I know that the situation has improved here, so it's not really a big thing for the ones who want to go for the exchange program. And for me, I initially thought that it would be hard for me to, even get an internship, right? Because I heard that with some regulation and restrictions, the companies, even here in Singapore, they would be, reluctant to even hire, international students. But actually, I'm currently interning for a company, and even most of my batchmates now, they're interning for, there are some big companies, and actually they some of them are currently exploring startups, VCs, and even though it's COVID time, it seems that the companies actually really, going on even next level goals. So not only they're stuck because of they cannot really travel to other countries, right? But also I think they actually in the end can explore something else. So for example, if I may share my experience with my company that I'm currently interning, and so it's actually a social impact investment company in which the main goal of the company is to eradicate poverty. It's something that is very new. So they invest and they give fund or they give loans to social enterprises across Southeast Asian countries, in which we know the number of cases, the COVID cases are, keep on increasing, right? But what surprised me is with, of course, with technology, with this, meeting, online meeting platforms, they can keep on continuing with continuing their business activity. So we can always discuss with the social enterprises or investee companies, for example, in Indonesia or in Malaysia or in Laos or in Philippines, just through these platforms. And we can still help them. We can still, monitor their performance. We can still have good discussions with them because of the technology. And I think with this trend, people even now think that, oh yeah, it's. I think we can live with COVID, right? So opportunities even will just come, and it's something that really surprises me. So initially, I thought that okay, I will just start this MBA. I just had, I had this low expectation, but surprisingly, I think people start to move on, and of course, business has to keep on continuing, right? So that's why I'm surprised that now it's actually okay for us to, find internship opportunities, to connect with people, and yeah, it's been amazing so far.
Yeah, I mean, how much of the program itself have you done online because of COVID?
So the amazing thing is NUS really tried so hard and really put that effort to have this hybrid mode, hybrid format. So for my cohort, for example, all of us managed to come into Singapore. So all of us can, come to classes in person. But because of the restrictions from the government that, in classroom, we can only have 50 people maximum, including the lecturer and the teaching assistant. So for some classes, we will have more than 50 people, of course. So we have this roster. So we would, rotate ourselves, for certain weeks, which students can come in person, which students that, they need to dial in through online meeting platforms. So we managed to have hybrid format. So all of us can have the experience, to come to classes in person, to discuss with the professors, even with the most important thing is actually to network with our own batchmates, right? Because in the end, when we learn from our peers, I mean, at that time, I really want to get to know my friends who, came from other countries, because most of the time, I stayed in Jakarta. So it has been a very great experience for me to have this opportunity to, to meet my friends in person. Yeah.
Yeah. And, what about landing your internship? And I'm sure kind of, potentially your first job after your MBA. How has that recruiting process been for you?
So for my internship experience, I got it from the Biz Career. So Biz Career is actually an NUS MBA career office. So they have this platform in which they post all of the internship and full-time job opportunities. So we can just browse through this platform which role, which industry, or which company that we would like to work for. And after that, and aside of that, they also have this career fair. So initially, my friends and I would think that, okay, because of the COVID, I don't think we can have this opportunity to have, career fair, right? But I don't know how, but they managed to have this online career fair, we could see some presentations from some companies. So we had some big names and then some startups. So it's a balance actually. And we could attend this online career fair by watching these presentations. And even they have this feature in which we could have the group chats with the companies and one-on-one interview. So we could decide on which company we would like to explore more, so we can have a further discussion with them through this one-on-one interview feature on this career platform that the NUS MBA has. And of course, because it's COVID, most of the interviews would be online. So far, even Biz Careers or the career office here, they created workshops how to navigate online interview, how to navigate, answering tough questions through online training platforms. So even some workshops are tailored to the needs of the students, in which most of us will do our interviews online, right? All of the interviews were online because, again, even my supervisor or my CEO, she was in the US at the time. So I would say that though it's pandemic time, I think it opens more opportunities because some of my friends actually they're currently interning for other companies outside of Singapore because they allow their employees to work remotely, right? So I think it's something that we even couldn't think of before, and we couldn't have that before, right? Because initially people would just think that, okay, if you work here, you need to stay here in the same country in which this company is, right? So with this COVID thing, even more opportunities are open now. So yeah, it has been good.
You have a unique professional background, having worked in, PE, the finance industry, as an analyst, and I saw started your own company selling jewelry as well. And so I'm wondering what you've taken away business-wise from the education, right? Like what parts of it do you feel have really helped develop you as, a better entrepreneur or a better investor or just a better businesswoman in general?
Some of the modules that I took here in the NUS MBA, it has been really helpful. So, for example, I took a private equity module, of course, and there is a venture capital module, and there is also entrepreneurial finance module. So, from the academic side, I tried to learn more the skills or the knowledge that I need to, support me in my future role. For example, if I still want to explore the PE industry, and even I could take some for my small business as well. So there is a corporate strategy module in which I think it's very excellent, and I really implement the points that I got from that module into my small business. So with my partners, we just brainstorm and okay, so what should we do now? What are our strategic objectives? What should we do in the next step? So it makes me think a bit more strategically. I kind of improved my analytical thinking skills, my design thinking skills by having these modules. From the experiential learning side, I feel that I could be more confident in speaking to more people outside of my home country, right? Because again, here I'm exposed to so many nationalities. I communicate with diverse people, in which it has been helpful for me to even open my network. So with my internship experience, with my experience in the student council, I somehow can get more network, and because they know that I'm an entrepreneur, so I can share my journey with my small business with the corporate partners or the professionals that I'm work with, because I'm interning or because I arrange events for the council. And even some of my friends actually started to ask, hi, can we collaborate on something because you have this business and I have this. And I know someone in Singapore who has this retail store, or so the kind of the kind of network really helped me to explore more, avenues and bringing something for my business and even my role in the future. Yeah.
So I I can't wait to dive into your experience, being the president. You didn't say it, but being the president of the NUS MBA Student Council, which I'm sure is quite a role to have and a position to have. But one last question I have, just with the career element of the MBA program, is, as an Indonesian exploring opportunities in Singapore, I would be just really curious to hear, what has your experience been in terms of looking for the internship, looking for your next job as a foreigner, right? Because I think most of our listeners will be non-Singaporeans who would, potentially consider NUS. And so, yeah, if you could kind of maybe share your experience and any tips you could give, or what people should think about, before coming to a top school in Singapore.
For the current job market in Singapore, people will hear that because of the restrictions, again, because of the new regulations of the pandemic, so the government actually tried to not push, but encourage the companies to hire more locals, right? But initially, it was something that really scared us for international students. But some companies actually, they're looking for employees who came from certain countries or certain region. For example, some big consulting firms who posted job opportunities on our career website, they shared that they're specifically looking for someone, for example, who comes from Southeast Asian countries, because currently they're working with clients from Southeast Asian region. So with that specific role, actually, the company will sponsor the EP pass here. So in Singapore, we have this employment pass. Okay, and so for Indonesian or any foreigner student, it might be tricky for us to pick on the companies, right? Because they might express this limitation before we do, or even before we apply. So in some announcement, that will be a statement in which we prefer Singaporean or we prefer PR or permanent resident. So for that particular job role, of course, since the beginning, we cannot even apply, right? But there are other lots of, job opportunities and we can also explore. And if they're willing to hire, they will definitely, try to sponsor our employment pass here. So it's still something that we can explore, but just be mindful when read the job opportunity post or the announcement, or on some career websites. There is a statement in which they might probably prefer a Singaporean or a PR. Yeah.
Right. So maybe a takeaway from that could be, if you're thinking about, say, a school like NUS, to look at companies with sort of international operations, right?
Yes. Some consulting firm, impact investment firm, VCs. So those are the sectors that are currently growing in Singapore, and most of my batchmates and even the incoming batch also, they're interested in. So they're really interested in these three main sectors, and most of them now are looking for the opportunities that are there in Southeast Asian region, especially, and then in the Europe as well, because they also have the offices or headquarters in some other countries as well. So although we're here in Singapore, they can always hire us and ask us, are you okay if we station you, for example, in this country, So it doesn't always have to be in Singapore as, the place that you work in. Yeah.
I have to ask a follow-up on that. So you mentioned the three industries are consulting, VC.
Consulting, PEVC, and impact investment.
PEVC and impact investing. I mean, you mentioned PE and VC. It's kind of a closed industry, right? You really have to meet people working in those spaces. How has that been for you?
So I think with this, it will be related to my experience in the council. Being a part of the student council, for example, it helps me to, meet new people, right? Because I need to arrange events, I need to arrange new initiatives for my cohort. So with that, I need to invite guest speakers, right? And the guest speakers that I try to invite would be some people who really work in the industry, who have that huge exposure. So for particularly because I have special interest in private equity, so when I arrange some events related to the private equity, I would approach some PE founders and managing directors here or managing partners here, and they have been very generous with their time. They have been very generous with their knowledge and experience. That's one of the ways for me to connect with the professionals in the industry. Because of that, even actually, I also got some time to have coffee chat with them, casual conversations, even, internship opportunity as well. So with this experience in, arranging something for my friends or for the students in the NUS MBA and connecting with the professionals, it somehow helped me to explore the PE industry more. And because we work alongside each other, so when we are planning the event, right, we need to liaise with this professional since the beginning because we need to inform the event flow. We need to let them know that our cohort currently wants to know about the overview of the industry, for example, or the current hot topic in the industry. So we need to have that constant communication, right? And with that, it really helped me a lot in, build this network with the professionals within PE industries, for example. And because of that, they somehow knew the way I work, right? Because with this constant communication, working on these events, they knew that, oh yeah, I know that you've worked so hard for this event. So yeah, that kind of conversation came in, and up until now, I think even when this is a funny story, but when my birthday, when I had my birthday, one of them is actually just wishing me happy birthday. Hi, have a warm happy birthday for you. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's something that I don't think I can get if I don't do the NUS MBA and if I don't arrange things for my friends here.
And how do those VCs and private equity, leaders, how do they view MBAs? I'm just curious.
So they view MBAs as young people that are very curious because in this kind of event that I have with them, they have lots of questions, but they really show that they're eager to get to know the industry more, right? So okay, so this will be one of the tips and tricks. So they said that you don't need to have, you need to have that hard skills, right? Because in PEVC you need to know how to do the due diligence if you want to invest in some companies, how to construct a financial model, how to use your analytical thinking in getting to know so many sectors. Because, for example, in PE, you will get the exposure to not only one industry. You will need to see the investment feasibility in various industries. It's nice to have that kind of hard skills or knowledge, but at the same time, you need to negotiate, right? For example, for VC itself, you might need to be that close to the founder of the startups, because again, in the future you will invest in them, and you need to build trust. You need to build that relationship. So interpersonal skills, negotiation skills are something that these professionals in the PE and VC industries really look for. So there's a unique sentence that I really remember one of a PE firm founder and managing partner here mentioned in one of our events. He said that if I got two candidates, one he or she smiles more than the other one, but their skills are the same, I will definitely pick the one who smiles more. So it means that you can be smart, but you need to have that good interpersonal skill. Again, good. You have to have that playful, character in yourself, because again, it's about meeting people. It's about getting to know the other side of potential investing companies or startups, right? Because in investing on something, some of them will be long term, and without that skills in building the trust and relationship, you cannot really explore the opportunities here in the PVC industry. So yeah, it needs to be a balance thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, speaking of building relationships and trust, what was your platform to become president of the student council? Is there like a vote off? Is there like a thing where you guys pitch, okay,
Yeah,
this year I'm going to do A, B, and C. So yeah, I'm just curious, what was your pitch? And also what is just kind of the role of, the president?
before going for the student council, and because our cohort was postponed to January, right? So the NUS MBA had this student transitional task force committee. At the time, my cohort couldn't really come into Singapore, couldn't start our MBA journey. So we were given the opportunity to explore the experiential learning part, like a taste of the student council, by joining the student transitional task force. So at that time, we can explore any kind of student clubs. We can arrange any kind of event, be it panel discussions, webinar, networking event. And at the time, I kind of built my early relationships with my other batchmates. So the unique part about this transitional task force is we need to arrange events in which at that time we were scattered around the world. So like for example, me, I was in Singapore, but my other teammates would be in India, in the US, in Europe, but somehow we need to work on that time difference. We need to think of how we could have meetings with the guest speakers that we would like to invite. And throughout that process, I felt like I kind of built my relationship with them very well. Because again, as I mentioned to you before, I was so excited doing this MBA program because I stayed in Jakarta most of my life, and having this exposure to international networks, to my friends with diverse background, just excited me a lot. So I tried to arrange Zoom calls separately with some of my friends. For example, I would have this one-on-one meeting with someone from India. I would have one-on-one meeting with someone from the US, and I tried to have that real conversation. Not the common conversation. Okay, why do you want to do the MBA and whatnot? It's of course it's a part of the conversation, but hi, what do you like? What kind of music do you like? What kind of musical instrument that you play? Because I love music. If they also love the art, because I love arts or painting. Okay, what kind of painting style that you? So something like that. So I tried to get to know my friends, not because I want something, right? Because at the time, because when we joined the Transitional Task Force, some people will think that in the future they will be a part of the student council. So for me at the time, I didn't expect any of that. So I just want to explore the clubs, and that's it. I just want to get to know my friends, and that's it. So the basis of the conversation was just more to get to know my friends. And on January, when the program started, we were asked to submit our application for the student council. So we need to pick the positions, the leadership positions. At that time, the election rule was all of us need to apply for the president position, for either the executive committee, in which the student body, the head body of the student council. We have 7 professional clubs and 5 general interest clubs, right? So at the time, I didn't intend to be a part of the council at all, because I know that I'm a mom, and I know that the MBA program would be very demanding. But some of my cohort approached me, and they said that during our conversations in the Student Transitional Task Force, the one that I mentioned to you before our MBA started, right, when we arranged events, actually they observed me, I don't know why, me as a person who can, work alongside people with diverse background. And sometimes I could be firm, I'm soft-spoken person, but when it comes to deadlines or something that we need to submit or something that we need to achieve, because again, these events would involve external parties out of the NUS MBA. So we need to deliver something. So I would be firm. At that time, some of my court actually, why don't you try? Because we saw that during our time working together, with this pre-MBA program, the Transitional Task Force Committee, you were there and you were committed in arranging initiatives. Although at that time you joined, for example, so I joined 5 clubs because I wanted to get to know each of these clubs, and because of that, we saw that you should go, you should just try. And then at the time, it was a not dilemma, but I needed some time to think about it, right? So okay, but then I said to myself, okay, if I didn't try, I would regret it. So I will just try. If it's for me, it will come to me. If it's not, then it's okay. Because in the process, you need to create a manifesto. You need to,
Wow.
for example, you
Manifesto.
shape this vision.
Yeah, that's serious.
Yeah, I think manifesto. Like a vision, mission. What would you like to deliver if you got this role? And then we need to do this, like a 1 minute pitch, live pitch in front of all of our cohort, the other candidates, the NUS MBA office, the faculty members. But because of the COVID time at that time, only the candidates could come in person to the campus, but the whole cohort would dial in through online meeting platform. I think the whole journey, I said to myself, it would be a very fruitful one if I tried. But my mindset at that time, you don't have to win. It's okay. You just try for yourself, try your best. And so I tried to apply. I went through the Q&A session, the debate night, in which we needed to deliver that live pitch. We needed to answer questions from the cohort, from the faculty members, from the MBA office, and even from the previous counselors as well. So yeah, oh my God, it was so tough. But yeah, with that, I do believe that I learned a lot, because again, it's like a training for me to do this public speaking, to influence people, to really practice the interpersonal skills that I wanted since the beginning when I joined the MBA program, right? So it's one of the ways for me to really develop myself personally. And after that, so the court needs to vote for every council leaders. And so I got elected and I was like, oh, okay, is this right? Is this, I was surprised at the time. It has been a very amazing journey because my council is very diverse. We have 12 clubs, and with that 12 clubs, I have the other 32 leaders with me.
32 leaders. Can you explain that? 32 leaders?
So so we have this executive committee part in the student council, in which consists of president, vice president. We have academic affairs liaison. We have part-time liaison and communication liaison. And for the other professional clubs and general interest clubs, some of the clubs might have one president, one vice president, and some might have one president and 2 vice presidents. So for example, for technology club, finance club, consulting club, entrepreneurship club, they will have one president but 2 vice presidents because the club membership is quite big. And I learned from that experience just, to work with people who have different working styles, different leadership styles, and different communication styles. So from that, I think I really improved my leadership skills because, again, in an organization, of course, we would find conflicts, we would find tough discussions, plans that went sideways. And that's the thing that really pushed me to think more, work more, and even to be more friendly and be more mindful as a leader. So I cannot really push my leadership style to other people, right? So I would just let them explore their working styles and explore their own creativity. And if you want to arrange this event, it's okay, but you need to think of this. if you want to arrange this initiative, it's fine, but you need to think of the impact for the cohort and the impact to the campus as well, because you need to build that relationship with the other stakeholders that you ask to come or you invite to be a part of this initiative, right? So those kind of planning, those kind of handling tough discussions, that helped me a lot in shaping myself. So, and the most surprising part is actually I'm the first female president. So
Ever?
ever,
Really? Oh my, I didn't
yeah,
know that. That's amazing. Wow.
it's very surprising, and at the same time, I don't know, it's kind of a lot of expectation there. So yeah, but yeah, the first female president, the first Indonesian, I think the first mom, of course, the first mom as a president. But yeah, it's something that is very unique. And I thought that I couldn't do it because, again, the MBA program is demanding, and be a mother, of course, is something. But yeah, in the end, what I told my counselors and the next counselors and even my court is actually, adversities or, your other commitments outside of your role as student now currently in the MBA program are not there to stop you from achieving your dreams. So those kind of, life hurdles, those kind of commitments actually are there for you to, as the opportunities for you to be successful in your own way. So my way at the time, okay, I'm a mom, but I think that I can do this. So being a mom, so at the time being a mom, I told my friends, it doesn't mean that you cannot do anything else, So even in my council, I have other mothers in the end, and they work very well. So, if you have other commitments, like, yeah, I don't think it's really something that will hinder you from exploring new things. So that's what I got from my whole council journey.
Very cool. And yeah, I want to come back to, what it's like being a mom going through an intense and accelerated program. But one more question on the student council bit is, what do you hope when your term is over, right? Like that, what is your hope? How will the NUS MBA be different, or the NUS student clubs be different?
My hope, firstly, for the student clubs, I want the clubs to be more collaborative. So initially, all of the clubs work independently, right? So they would arrange initiatives. They would start something for their own club. So the leaders, for example, will start a VC community or a PE community for only the members of the finance club or the ones who are interested in finance. And for consulting, for example, they would arrange events only for, someone or some people who are interested in consulting. But in my council, since the beginning, I told my fellow leaders to be collaborative. So think outside, think differently. You can always arrange something that is actually okay for you to collaborate with other clubs. For example, fintech, it's a combination of finance and technology, right? For example, digital marketing or innovation is something that you can collaborate among, technology club, marketing club, and entrepreneurship club. We also have this finance networking event in which, like I mentioned to you before, impact investing is something that is growing in Singapore. So we collaborated, so the executive committee collaborated with finance club and sustainability, ethics, and impact club. So I try to push this collaboration because I think that, industries now are more and more merged, and you cannot really have events or have initiatives or even work independently, right? So that's what I hope for the NUS MBA club ecosystem. I want the clubs to be more collaborative and have events that are exploring the combination of several sectors or several industries. And for the NUS MBA itself, at the time, I set my goal to have the council that is inclusive. So diversity, yes, we have it. But inclusivity, at that time, I tried to initiate it. So what I meant by inclusivity is initially students will think that the council leaders are the exclusive members of the MBA program. Only council leaders who will have the opportunity to connect with corporate partners. Only the council leaders who will have the opportunity to connect with the alumni, connect with external stakeholders. Okay, if you're not a part of the council, you cannot have this kind of opportunity. No, I mean, at that time, I wanted to change that mindset. What I actually shared with my fellow council leaders, actually, if you arrange something, I think you might need help, right? You might need support. So just feel free to, involve our cohort of involve our batchmates to be a part of your core team member or be a part of the organizing committee, so they will have the exposure of connecting with other people as well. So I wanted my council to be an open student body, an open student council instead of a closed one. And that's what I meant by inclusivity. So in the future, when I pass this on to the next leaders, I would say these are the values that I hold, that I'm currently doing it with my other fellow leaders: inclusivity and collaboration in between clubs. So that's the thing that I really want them to continue, because it will be very nice if the whole MBA students feel like they're a part of the council. Actually, the leaders are just there to help them, just there to be the facilitators, but they're also a part of the student body, and they can have the same opportunity to, connect with other people. So that's the thing that I wanted for the NUS MBA.
It's very clear, very clear. Yeah, absolutely very clear. So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about your experience, juggling family life, being a mom, and the MBA. How has this affected your MBA experience? And if you would have any advice for future students who are mothers or fathers?
My tips would be, if you're a mom, or if you're a dad, of course you can still do an MBA. You don't need to be afraid. The thing you can do is actually to try to ask the campus if they have any alumni or current student. They are also parents, so that's what I did. So I asked the campus to connect me with a mom. At that time, I said it can be current student, it can be alumni. It's the same. I just want to know how they juggle their time, right? So one of the people that I connected with, she's a mom. She mentioned that at that time, after classes, she would just directly go home and focus more on the classes and not exploring for example, the club events and other things, because she wanted to focus more on the academic and taking care of her son. So that I thought that would be the same case with me. But then when I started my MBA journey, I thought that, I don't know why, but I'm so passionate in, this kind of non-academic activities, right? Which is council is a part of the non-academic program activity. So I tried to explore that, and I'm in love with with this kind of activity. So I thought that I don't think I can leave it, and I really want to have this experience during my MBA program. So modules is something that we can't really change, right? So we have exams, we have assignments, and that's something that we will always have as students. But as a part of the council, for example, if I want to have these events, I would have a hard stop. For example, 10 p.m. guys, then I need to leave, or I need to take the meeting from home. Or you don't need to worry, because of course your batchmates will totally understand. They will understand that, yeah, of course you need to come home. We can, even some of them would just say, yeah, we can just continue our meeting tomorrow or the next day. Or I feel that the MBA community now, it's more to collaborative instead of competitive. So, and they totally understand that now more and more mothers are doing MBAs, and it's totally okay. For example, for my study, so we have this, that MBAs are full of readings and cases. So what I would do is actually I try to stagger my reading, right? So if certain module will have, 10 readings or 10 cases, and the prof would just announce that, hi guys, I've uploaded these cases, and it will be at least a week before. So I will just try to, read them, not one night before, but I try to 5 days before, or even 4 days before. That's the thing that I do. So I think it's more to, but it will be different for each person, right? So it's about time management and energy management, of course. Not to mention council thing, you will have meetings. And as the president, you need to review the plans from all clubs. You need to liaise with the external stakeholders, other schools. You will need to liaise with the internal stakeholder. So again, yeah, it is exhausting, but actually it's the time when you test yourself in managing your time and energy. It's still doable. I mean, it's still doable.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm wondering how big of a part are your son and your husband as part of the NUS MBA?
Well, my son is very famous now. Like he's the youngest student ever. Like everyone knows him. All of my batchmates knows him very well. So they have been supportive. They have been so supportive. So my son would know that, mommy, will you go to school today? Yes, I will go to my school. Okay, you study hard, all right? You need to study hard. Yeah, of course, because he's also a part of, I mean, yeah, he also goes to school. So I would just explain to him, okay, so this is probably the one that mothers can do. So if your son goes to school, just mention to them that mommy will go to school. Mommy will have friends like you have in your school. Mommy will also have mommy's own teachers, so I will do the same. I would study just like you. So yeah, if you have any homework, you need to do it right when you beside me, because I also have my homework. So sometimes I would just have meetings with him beside me. He does his homework, and I will also work on my assignments together with him. So I try to involve him more as a part of my journey rather than pushing him away, right? Because children are very smart. They're amazing. So, and with my experience, I think I can see that my son improved a lot. Like he becomes more mature, he becomes more understanding, and when I try to involve him, in my console meetings, in my group project meetings, I would just, hey, come here. You want to say hello to my friends? You want to say hello to even my professor? This is my professor. You want to say hello? And they're very warm. I mean, they would definitely understand. So it's something that is doable. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got it. I love that. And so, I mean, this has been a really fun conversation, but I just want to leave you with one last question about imagining where you were, gosh, I guess about a year and a half ago, thinking about the MBA, and now having gone through so many hours of class and student council meetings and events. What advice would you give to someone like you about making the most of the experience personally and professionally?
I will start with the personal firstly. So personally, I would say be brave and be open-minded. So again, in the MBA program, you will meet lots of people with diverse background, diverse culture, diverse, thinking process. And through conversations, some conversations, of course, mostly will be nice, but some of them will be tough. Even for some, not only class discussions, for outside class discussions, you will see different views. And it will help you a lot in dealing with other colleagues, for example, or other people or other stakeholders when you work in your future, companies post the MBA program. So do really try to hone that interpersonal skills, the people skills during the MBA program, because it's something you can't get outside the program. It's a very safe space for you to, be bold and be courageous. For example, my public speaking skill has improved a lot because, again, being part of the council forced me to give speeches. And,
yeah.
In
front of your peers, that's in
front of the peers, in front of even other business schools, if we have these collaborative events with other business schools as well. Yeah, it is something that you need and that you need to explore. So don't be afraid. It's a very safe space. And so far, they're very supportive. So although if we speak wrongly or, if we, give our opinions, people won't be like, oh, what is that? No, but people will just like, okay, it's a unique statement that you have there. So what was your thinking process behind that? How could you come up with that statement, or how could you come up with that idea? So it's more to how to accept and how to tolerate other people's differences, right? And professionally, of course, it will be a very amazing journey for you, because you will get exposure to, again, lots of amazing corporate professionals, corporate partners or professionals out there from diverse industries. For example, in the NUS MBA, we have this practice professor. So we have real industry professionals who teach us for certain modules. And with that, we build network. Of course, we get the knowledge and the skills, but by having this network of industry professionals within the campus or the NUS MBA community, we can always try to ask them, okay, if we got the skills, if we got the knowledge, how can we actually apply this to our daily tasks? If we, for example, if we go for an analyst position in a PE firm, or if we go for a portfolio manager role in an asset management company. So yeah, we know, Prof, that we have this, but how could we apply this to this? So those kind of balanced conversation between the knowledge and the application in the, in your real role in the future in the industry, it will be really helpful for us in not only applying for the job, but in getting to know which role that will fit you, right? Because by doing the module, some people would, yeah, I think this is the right sector for me. I think this is the right industry that I want to explore. But some would think that, okay, I think this is not me, because, for example, I'm a more people person instead of a someone who can deal with the computer for a long time. So again, for both personal and professional experience, MBA program is something that is very helpful for you to decide on the next life stage that you want to explore. And it's a very safe space for you to make mistakes.
I think that's a great place to end our discussion. It sounds like you've really made people the center of your experience, right? Your colleagues, your partners, your people you're reaching out to in industry. It's really interesting. Safira, I'm just wishing you the best of luck finishing up your program. And thanks for sharing, your true hard-earned experiences on the Touch MBA podcast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Darren.
Thanks for listening to the Touch MBA podcast. Don't be shy. We have a mailing list. Go to touchmba.com and get yourself signed up. And we'll keep you posted with the best tips and insider interviews on how to get into your #1 school. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook at Touch MBA.